I don't remember. But CuriosityStream, you might have talked about it, David. Brian and I bore witness to it. Laura Martin brought it up. It was a prominent part of her discussion. CuriosityStream, a niche SVOD with about 25,000 subscribers, annual revenue.
25 million.
Right, $51 million in annual revenue last year. Not a big company, a tiny piece of Netflix. If it was direct Curiosity Streams together and stacking them, you'd probably need a couple hundred to match Netflix. So it's a small company, but they're going to transform the video business. What they've done is taken their intellectual property of nature shows and science documentaries, which they own 100% outright, and license them to large language models for AI learning. They've partnered with 9 so far. They're in negotiations with 7 others. Not only are they brokering about 3,000 hours of their own content, they're also licensing in the same deal third-party content, about 1.7 million hours, and growing. In Laura Martin's words, you step into their deal and you revenue share 50%. So that's just like free money. They're printing money, basically. So they reported for the third quarter $10.2 million in revenue, which was up 41% year over year. So
I just want to say, Daniel, think how much money they will get to train large language models in AI with episodes unaired of Joey. That could be huge.
There's 46 of them, so that's got to be worth something.
Oh my God. The gold mine waiting to be tapped. Heavens to Betsy.
It is. Yeah.
My affections are
the whole deal.
Niche series that only I appreciate, but that won't last for much longer. Anyway, the caveat is you have to own your IP outright 100%, but call them up and make money. To Laura Martin's thinking that if you don't do this in the next year, you'll be competitively left in the sand. So
yeah. It's interesting too, because the studios have been very loath to let their assets be used that way. But this does become a way to incrementally drive revenue that otherwise they're not able to achieve. And actually, because one of the questions has been by people like Rich Greenfield. He says, look, just buying more old IP doesn't make you competitive with Netflix. Using the IP you have and creating new IP makes you more valuable. I mean, and if you're busy consuming another giant studio and restructuring and laying people off and trying to figure out where is Joey in our archive, you are not actually building a business that's competitive. You're just making more old IP doesn't make you better, except selling it to large language models.
Right.
I mean, that's actually a reasonable way to make money off of it. Otherwise, you just have more old IP that some people care about and will spend a Friday night with their spouse watching on YouTube. And other stuff is just stuff that you got to figure out what you're going to do with. So it's a really interesting question. So this is actually a use case for all that stuff sitting on your digital shelves.
It is. I mean, it's interesting in a number of different dimensions. I will say, to your point about the major Hollywood players, music players, et cetera, et cetera. Well, music, they did a deal with AI, right? And they have these studio aggregators. But there's so many individual talents that have individual representation against individual laws, I think, that it does make it really hard for those larger studios. Lionsgate famously also did one of these types of deals where you can train the library. That was with Runway. Yeah. And I think it's interesting.